أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد. Quick review. We looked at this table last week of how to do wudu step by step, which directions, the limits. Okay, so let's go quickly. Let's review with each and every one of you. The first thing we do in wudu is what, Sayyidina? Okay, where in the face? Okay, so you said from the forehead to the bottom of the chin. You're right, but not fully. Can somebody help say it out? From the hairline, Ali, thank you. Okay, from the hairline to the chin, right? From the hairline to the chin, that's lengthwise. Widthwise? Widthwise from your thumb to your middle finger. So good, from your thumb to your middle finger. So this whole portion usually is from the temple to the temple, down. Niyat. Yeah, we're going to talk about these, the intention and stuff today. Okay, let's for the wudu. Okay, that's the face. Next, what do we do? Sister Khulud, can you tell us what's the next thing to do?
We wash our arms from the elbows.
Does direction matter? Downwards. So from the elbow to the fingertips. So downwards is the direction that we're going to be going. Play. Next, what do we do next?
We wipe our heads from the first quarter of our hair.
Everyone's just looking off this table right now. I know it's there, but come on, give me something from here. What do we do?
So from the first quarter.
The first quarter. What do we say first quarter was?
Like the bump in your head.
So yeah, where that bump is, in your head. Okay. But if I wanted to draw the beautiful picture again that everyone was laughing at, remember that picture? Okay. What would I do? Like how would I split my hair? To four quarters. Okay, show me.
So like 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Good. So if we were to take the outline of the head and split it into 4 parts, the first part that we're talking about is where you would wipe. Okay, now there is a difference of opinion here, but even for those who have a difference of opinion, wiping that area is for sure good. طيب, for the feet, Zainab Talib, can you help us out? Does direction matter? Okay, so direction does not matter. Technically speaking, under Sayyid Sistani's rule does not matter. Other maraja may differ here, so we say just do from the toes to the ankles. Okay, very good. Good stuff. Oh, we also spoke about the ayah of wudu. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, idha qumtum ila as-salat, faghsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ila al-marafiq, wamsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum ila al-ka'bayn. So this is the ayah that speaks about wudu. It gives us a general idea of how to do wudu. Okay? And we asked 3 questions pertaining to this ayah. And for those who may not remember, this is where the Shias and the Sunnis differed on how to do wudu, specifically when it comes to this ayah. So we said, number 1, is there a time for wudu? Here the Shia scholars themselves differed. Some of them said that the salat that you are doing wudu for has to have begun. The time for it has to have begun for you to do wudu for that specific salat. Because the ayah says when you rise towards prayer or for prayer, then do wudu. And you can't rise towards a salat that has not begun yet, or the time for it has not begun yet. So some ulama have differed and said that the time for wudu has to have started. For us, most of the maraja, if not all of them today, don't say that. Okay, you can do wudu from the morning and pray at night. No issue at all. When it comes to washing versus wiping, we already know what's washed and what's wiped. The Sunni way of doing wudu is different. There's 3 washes and 1 wiping. 3 washes is the first, the face. Second is the arms. Third would be the legs. So they wash their legs instead of wiping their legs. And we spoke about why they said that in the ayah, and we analyzed that to see if it was correct or incorrect grammatically and linguistically. Lastly, we spoke about direction. Who remembers what we said about direction? No. Direction in the ayah was not pertaining to the feet. No. What was it pertaining to? Good guess though. What was it pertaining to? It was pertaining to this word ila, to. When it spoke about washing your arms. Sorry, did you have something?
Was it that it was like the surface area, not the from point A to point B?
Good. So when it says when it says فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, to your elbows. Okay? What does it mean to your elbows? Are we beginning from the tips of our fingers going towards the elbow? Or when it says to the elbow, it's the same way that I say, Ali, mop from the middle of the room to the door. Does he have to begin from the middle of the room to the door, or am I speaking about a specific surface area for him to cover? So this word too holds two meanings. It means surface area, and it also holds the meaning of directionality. Here, what is it speaking about? It's speaking about surface area, because there's no sign there's no sign that takes us towards directionality. There's nothing else in the ayah that speaks about directionality that would point us into the direction of that meaning. Okay? And there's a lot of discussion on this. Okay, there's a lot of discussion on this specific issue and a lot of the other issues. But because this is not a grammar class, I'm not going to get into it. If anybody is interested and they have a grammar background, come and then we can discuss it and show exactly what they say and what we say in a sense. Okay? طيب. For this week and the next 3 weeks, maybe if we're not done, maybe in the next 4 weeks, we'll see, but for now I'm projecting 3 weeks. We're going to be speaking about the conditions of wudu. Now, for those who have taken fiqh before, they're usually just a list. Read the list, you're set, you're done. This is a university level class, so we're going to go delve into it. We're going to look into what our maraja have said and why they differ. When it comes to the condition of the action, this is where our maraja tend to differ on the meaning of this condition. What does it truly entail? The practical applications of having that condition present or not, and we're going to see whether it's a realistic condition, is it an essential condition, is it a condition that is directly limited by your own consideration, and we're going to exactly tell the meaning or differentiate between those two ideas. Okay? When it comes to this issue, it's very, very, very theoretical. Very theoretical. And the stuff that we're going to be speaking about are very abstract. That will translate into practicality later on, and we're going to see how, in one case, it will. Okay? So this is where a lot of our ulama have had deep discussions, and they've differed. And a lot of the times when you're sitting with, I don't want to say layman's person, because that's probably not the best way to say it, but a person that's not really in depth into religion, they say, well, our maraja don't differ. No, they do. They do on some of the very fundamental issues. But the practical applications we don't tend to see, or we don't tend to see the difference between the two, because we're not that specific about what we're doing. Khalas, salli, that's enough. But a person that really dwells into it sees the difference and sees how these ramifications can change things down the road. And I think I gave an example last week of the intention and how some ulama used to say, you literally have to have your intention the whole entire time, and before each and every action in salat, you have to have the intention. You have to do your intention. And I said, some ulama used to say, like when you do the intention for salat, you have to intend the specifics. So, نويت أن أصلي صلاة whatever, قربة إلى الله تعالى, والآن أكبر تكبيرة الإحرام, والتكبيرة الإحرام متكونة من كلمتين الله وأكبر وأمرني الله بها على أني أكبره وأعظمه. Like this is literally the intention. Before Surah Al-Fatiha, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, أقول بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لأن الله أمرني بها وهي الآية الأولى من سورة الفاتحة. And every single action needs an intention. So you're literally standing praying Salat al-Dhuhr for an hour, because you have to intend each and every action before you do it, and remember the specifics and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. Okay? Now today you just say Allahu Akbar and go, right? So there is a difference of opinion, and it makes a difference in the outside world. And this is where a lot of the differences come. Okay? We're all on the same page? All right. So, topic of discourse, again, because it's very theoretical, we may not see it, but practically speaking, our ulama have spoken about it and showed the practical differences. One of these is the intention which we spoke about, and also what to do in certain times of doubt. Okay, that's another example of where our ulama have differed. We're on a very theoretical issue, but has practical ramifications. Where, for example, let's say I want to do wudu, and we know that for wudu, the water has to be pure. The water itself I'm using has to be pure. I have 3 cups. 3 cups of water. I know one of those 3 is najis. I'm in doubt. Which one of the 3? What do? Do I say, I don't know if I can have all of the conditions for wudu, and for that reason I must do wudu with all three of them, and then do tayammum, which is the next way of purifying when I can't do wudu? Do I just go with any one of them and say I'll just take a chance and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that I'm ignorant and for that reason He'll accept my prayer? What do I do in that case? There's a lot of different possibilities of what I should do. Should I do wudu with two of them because I know one of them is najis, and so by doing wudu with two of them I'll eliminate at least one possibility? What happens if I have three but somebody comes and spills one of them? Does that mean I can do wudu with the two that are left because one of them was spilled and it could be the one that was najis? So there's a lot of possibilities that you can give here, and we can all differ in opinion as to what should be done. And this is one of the things that our ulama have differed on. Sayyid Sistani and Sayyid Khou'i, who were, Sayyid Khou'i was the teacher of Sayyid Sistani, they differed on this issue. They themselves differed on what to do in this issue, although they are, student and teacher. Okay, so there is a difference of opinion. So the conditions are as follows. Number one, the intention. Okay. Number two, the parts of wudu must be pure. Number three, the ownership of the water. So the water must be yours, or you must have permission to use it. Okay, so not necessarily just yours. You have to have permission to use it. You go to the washroom here, everybody knows you're allowed to use the water. They wouldn't make it public if you can't use it. Okay, so the ownership, or you have to have permission to use the water. Okay, 3, 4, water must be pure. Pure in the sense not mixed. Remember guys, we classified water as unmixed and mixed water. Do you remember that from last year? What did we say mixed water was? Ma' mudaf. What is that? What does that mean? Mixed water, not unmixed. Mixed water. What is ma' mudaf? What is mixed water? So water that has something in it, okay, but salt water in the ocean has something in it.
You need to be able to see it.
You're close.
I think you said it's how you name it. If you have to say another word with it, like rose water,
Okay.
then it's mixed water.
Okay. Yes.
Salt water, you can just call it water.
Okay, if you were trying to explain that to your little brother, how would you explain it to them? Just give me to be very, very simple.
It's not about the name?
It is about the name if you want to talk on, for us in a philosophical sense. But something very simple. Give me it very simply. What is mixed water versus not mixed water? Doesn't look like water. Okay, you're all correct and you have the right idea. But I think you're having trouble saying it. Okay? The way it is mixed water is a liquid that is not necessarily water. It's water that has something in it that changes it from what we name water to be, or what we consider water to be. That's why if you go to the ocean, you look at the water, it's water, although it's salty water. Okay? It's salt water. But if I get you rose water, can you just call that water? No. You call it rose water because the rose part in it is what makes it different than the water that we have in front of us. Okay? So the content of roseness, I don't know, okay, changes it from being just water. Okay? But the salt concentration in seawater does not change it into some other type of liquid. It keeps it water. You can name it water, but it's just salty water. Now,
they also say about
that's something, yes, that's something different. Okay? That's something different. Ma' jari is pure water. Is actual water. We'll get to that, inshallah. Or we'll discuss it. We spoke about that last year. Do we understand the difference between mixed water versus non-mixed water? Again, we say non-mixed water is the stuff that you have in your water bottles, the stuff that comes out of the taps. It's non-mixed water, it's pure. And it may have a taste, it may be salty, it may be sweet, no problem. But as long as you can call that water. If you call it water, no one's going to look at you and say, what are you talking about? Okay? Mixed water is your coffee, is your juice, is whatever it is. Okay? So it's water mixed with something else to a point where you can't call it water anymore. If I told you I'm drinking water, you'll laugh at me. I'm drinking coffee. Alhamdulillah, I'm drinking coffee. Okay? It's not water. Right? If I called it water, you look at me weird. It's water mixed with something else that changed it into something totally different. Now, we'll speak about what that means later, inshallah. Okay? So the thing that you're doing wudu with is water. Okay? 5. Virtual purity of the water. We're not talking about whether it's mixed or not. We're talking that it's tahir. Okay? It's not, there's no najasa in it. It didn't come into contact with anything najis. Okay? 6. The water itself cannot be harmful to use. The water cannot be harmful to use. So for example, if you have a cut, or if you have a burn, if you have something that does not let you use the water. You have, I don't know if there's like allergy to water. Okay, but let's say somebody has an allergic reaction to water being on their skin. Okay, they can't put water on that specific area. Now, there is details, and that's one of the, we're gonna have a full class on this. Of, do I totally skip wudu and go to tayammum if I can't use the water on certain parts of my body, or do I do wudu? And then those parts, there's an exceptional way to do wudu. We'll talk about that. Okay, but the general rule is the water cannot be harmful to use on your body. Okay? 7, has to be done in the right order. So wash first, then wash your arms second. So wash your face first, wash your arms second, wipe your head, wipe your feet. Has to be done in that specific order. Can't change. 8, actions must be done right after each other. And I should have said after that, with no gap in time, or a large gap in time. So I can't do my face now, 10 minutes later I do my arms, 10 minutes later I do my head, then 10 minutes later I do. We call that al-muwalat. In Arabic we call this al-muwalat, and you're going to see in not in ghusl, because it's not a condition in ghusl. You're going to see that in tayammum, you're going to see that in salat, you're going to see this word muwalat come up if you read it in Arabic a lot. Okay, muwalat is that there's no gap between the actions. Muwalat. Muwalat, the Arabic meaning of it is that one after the other, one after the other. Okay? 9, must be done by the person themselves. Okay? You can't have someone do wudu for you. You can't have someone wash your hands or arms for you. If you're able to do that. If you're able to actually wash your own arms. If you're unable, like a person's paralyzed, then that's an exceptional case. But the major rule, the general rule is, you have to do wudu for yourself. Okay? Alright. Now. There's a difference of opinion on that one. From what I know, there are some ulama that say pouring of the water must be done by you as well. Some ulama say that no, it's okay for someone else to pour it for you. Okay? So if you're out in the, you don't have an actual tap or whatever in front of you, then just pour it for yourself. Okay? That's a good question. Any other questions before we move on? Nah.
I have a question about the purity of the water.
Yes. Yes.
So, I know municipal water is mixed with different chloride and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Is that not considered mixed?
Good. That's a very good question. The municipal water is mixed with chloride and other chemicals that make it clean or purify the water from any contamination. So does that make it mixed water? No. Because the amount of chloride, the amount of any other chemical in that water does not change that liquid into some other type of liquid. Okay, you can still look at that and say it's water. Oh, well, there's fluoride in it. It's okay. That's not a problem. As long as it's water with fluoride in it, and not necessarily fluoride liquid with water in it. Okay, so what's the actual liquid? What is it actually called? And that's why sometimes you can have soapy water. Not soap water, soapy water. So you can have water with some soap in it, right? And not necessarily soap water. Okay, it's not like a detergent or anything. No.
I wanted to ask, when we'll do it on the arms, you know how we bring the water down here and wipe or wash the arm?
Yeah.
Would it be okay if you just run your arm over the water?
It's a very good question. Very good question. Yes, you can do that. Okay, when washing, there is a specific way to wash. As long as you follow those rules that we said, directionality counts. So from here to here, direction-wise, you can wash in any way you want. Okay? So let's say I had a big jug of water or whatever, and I can fit my arm in it. I can literally go like this. I wouldn't go this way. Why? Because my directionality is gone now, because I'm doing tips too. Okay? If I start at my elbow and I go like this, it's okay. Not a problem. Or if I have the water running and I run it through this way, like that, that's okay too. No. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? All right. So we're speaking about conditions. Conditions are things that our ulama discuss, in depth. So we're going to discuss the classification of what a condition means in fiqh, or what a condition is. The classifications of conditions. Before, we classified what an obligation is. We said wajibun li nafsihi, wajibun li ghayrihi. Here we're going to classify the conditions. Okay? The first type of condition we have is shart waqi'i. as opposed to sharat i'tibari. Okay? What does this mean? The first one is an essential condition, where this condition must be met, whether you know you're meeting that condition or you don't know you're meeting that condition. In other words, your ignorance doesn't matter here. So let's just say you did wudu with water that's not pure, but you didn't know that it was not pure. Your wudu is batil. You found out now. You found out 60 years later. You found out, I don't care how you found out. Your wudu is batil. If you've been doing wudu with najis water for 60 years on end, repeat 60 years of salat. Sharat waqi. Your ignorance does not mean anything here. It's pertaining directly to reality. Okay? Sharat i'tibari, it's limited by your own consideration or your knowledge. Let's just say the water here that we have is stolen. I don't know how you'd steal water, but you stole it from someone. Okay? Or somebody gave you a cup of water or a jug of water that was stolen from somebody. And you did wudu with it not knowing it was stolen. Will your wudu be batil? If it was stolen and you did not know it was stolen, your wudu wouldn't be batil. Why? Because you don't know. Unless you were the same person who stole it, then you forgot. I don't know how it would happen. Okay, then the ulama say if you were the person who stole it, it's batil. Okay? But in general terms, the water, the ownership of the water being yours, is not shart waqi, it's shart i'tibari. Okay? And we call that an assumed condition. Let's call it assumed. You're assuming that it's correct. According to your knowledge, it's good. We go in accordance to what you knew or understood. Now. No. No. Why? Because our ulama have differed. They said this is shart waqi, this is shart i'tibari. In that sense, they classified them according to the hukum of whether it is still correct if you're ignorant or not. So they said if you are ignorant that it was najis and you did wudu with it, it's done. There's no exception. Okay? With the assumed condition, there is an exception. What's the exceptional case? If you didn't know. And that only goes with certain conditions. That only works with certain ones. Now, there's a few. There's a few. I believe there's like 3 or 4 of them. Okay? Tahara of the place you're praying? No. I'tibari. So anything where there is some leeway, some leniency in accordance to your ignorance or your knowledge, that's always shart i'tibari. But when there's no leniency whatsoever, that's always shart waqi. It pertains directly to reality. I don't care whether you knew, I don't care whether you forgot, doesn't matter. It has to be there. Okay? Now.
Does that go with prayer as well?
Yes. Okay? So again, we said we're going to learn some things here and we're going to apply them somewhere else. Absolutely. These types of conditions are used in prayer as well. For example, here's an example. If you missed ruku' in salat, okay, you missed ruku' in salat, or you added ruku', not knowing or forgetting, your salat is batil. But if you forgot مثلا Surah Al-Fatiha, you forgot Allahu Akbar, you sat for a second and you did ruku'. You forgot. Your salat is still good. So qira'ah Surah Al-Fatiha would be, if you want to call it shart i'tibari, it would fall under that category. Okay? But doing the ruku', for example, is shart i'tibari. You have to have it. You have to do it. If you don't, for whatever reason, your salat is batil. Okay? Alright. So, again, for those who want to read it over after, or for those watching, these are very vague definitions. Refer back to the explanation. Okay? Refer back to the explanation of these. Let's go into the intention. Okay? The intention is an essential condition. You have to have it. Why? Because if you are doing your wudu without intending that it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is there any way that can be a spiritual purification for yourself? How are you spiritually purifying yourself when you're totally disconnected from the spiritual realm? Makes no sense. Okay? So the intention is essential. It has to be there. Right. For us to understand the intention, we said the ulama differed a lot about the intention and what it means. For us to understand the intention, we're going to ask 3 questions. Number 1, what does it mean to actually intend something? What does that actually mean? Okay. Number 2, does the intention need to stay with the person throughout the worship or throughout the wudu, throughout the action itself? Number 2. Number 3, if it does, in what form does it have to be with you? In what form? And they're vague questions, and we'll clarify inshallah in the next few slides. طيب. The meaning of the intention. So the issue of the intention has been, as we said, an issue of discourse, an issue of discussion between them, and they differed on what it means to intend something. Okay? So when a person intends to do an action, okay? What are they actually doing? Are they doing an action? Are they actually doing something? Or are they, let's say, changing their state of mind? No. Why do you think it's changing the state of mind? Okay, so they don't actually have to say it because it's something inside, right? What else? What do you guys think? Is it a state of mind to intend, or is it an action that must be done? Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second and differentiate them between in your mind. Whether it's a state of mind, it's a state, or is it an action that you do that's constantly being done? No.
I think it's an action that you do before something, but it's a state of mind throughout the entire, let's say, salah.
Okay. So what you're saying is the new theory in a sense, or the newer way of looking at it. Okay? So we say our ulama actually classify the intention or intending as an action. You say, I intended, I walked, I ran, I intended. It's an action that you're doing. Or you don't have to say anything, and that's the second point. You don't actually have to say anything. You don't have to go, nawaitu an usalli salat whatever. Nawaitu an atawadda. You don't have to actually have to do it. You don't have to say anything. It's a state in your mind, or it's a state of mind that is done through an action of some sort, or is classified as an action. So it's a thing that you're actually doing, but you don't notice yourself technically doing it. It's an unconscious action that you're doing, where you say, now I'm going to pray. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that. You don't have to actually say it, it's just in the back of your mind. Okay? So that's why our ulama said it's sort of in between state of mind and action, but we're going to classify it as an action. We're going to actually say it's an action that you should do. So the actions of salat, the first one, intention. Technically, the first one in wudu, as Ali was saying, intention. They actually classify as an action. Okay? But in reality, to mix between the two. Okay? Because again, you don't have to say anything. You don't actually have to speak. Okay? Alright. And keep this in mind. I want you to keep this one in mind because we're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it. This means the intention is an action and not a state that a person must keep. And we said, these theoretical discussions are going to show us practical applications later on, and we're going to see that in a second, inshallah. But keep that in mind. Now, whether it's continuous or not, if we consider the intention as an action, how can you continuously be doing an action while you're supposed to be doing something else as well? In other words, when I pray, if I consider the intention as an action, and please pay attention closely here. If I consider the intention as an action, and I say this action must be done throughout the prayer, but with this action that must be done throughout the prayer, I must be doing other things as well, and that is ruku', sujood, washing my face, washing my hands. So I have to do technically two actions at the same time. So what does it mean to continuously have an intention? That's why our ulama 600-700 years ago said, before each and every action you have to intend. And you have to keep that intention, that thought in your mind throughout. You have to be thinking of 3 different things at the same time. So you have to be doing ruku' with the exact intention in that thought. Nawaitu an usalli, or nawaitu an arka' qurbatan ila Allah ta'ala. Throughout the ruku', you have to have that thought. And you also have to be thinking of what to say in ruku'. So you have to be thinking of 2 or 3 different things all at the same time, which presents a huge problem for people. You can't really do that. It's impossible. Unless you're like Albert Einstein or something. You can't do that. Okay? So what does it mean to continuously have an intention? Our ulama said, sometimes you have the intention on the forefront of your mind. You're intending, you're saying, nawaitu an usalli salat, whatever. It's a thought that's always there. And then sometimes your thoughts are now become subconscious. They become subconscious. They're in the background. They call that irtikaz, where it's in the background somewhere. And you technically are not always thinking about it, but your action is totally based on the intention that you have. So that if I stopped Ahmed midway into salah, although he may not even be thinking of what he's technically doing, he may be thinking about his test, he may be doing this, he might be thinking of doing this, maybe thinking of doing that, or maybe just focusing on what he's doing now, which is ruku'ah. If I stopped Ahmed midway and I told Ahmed, what are you doing? They're like, I'm praying. I tell him, Ahmed, were you thinking that you are praying? Were you saying in your mind, nawaitu an arka' qurbatan ila Allah ta'ala, I intend to do ruku', or I intend to be praying right now? No, he says, no, but it's something in the back of my mind that I always had. Okay? So they call that irtikaz. It has to be there in the background, subconscious. So you take it from your conscious into the subconscious, and then you can refer back to it at any point in time. And if you can't refer back to it, you don't have an intention, because it's not there. It's very abstract. It's very abstract. But they say, if you dozed off in prayer to the point where you don't even know what you're doing, and you come back to reality and you're like, what am I doing? It's salat's batil. Because you technically don't have intention. Your intention is not there. Don't be scared, okay? Your salat is not batil. Because we all have dozed off, right? Don't be scared. Your salat is good, inshallah. But what I'm saying is, in a practical situation, if you come back and you're like, what's happening? What just happened? You don't know where you are. You don't even know if you're praying dhuhr or asr or maghrib if there's no window beside you. You don't know what you're doing, okay? Your salat is batil at that point because the intention is gone. Do we understand? All right. So, let's say we consider the intention as a state and not an action. What does that actually entail? What does that practically mean? Let's say, Ahmad, I told you, your intention is not an action. It's a state of mind. It's a state that you must keep. Can you show me a practical application for that? Think hard. And everyone, I want you to think hard about this. I want to show you how deep our ulama, alayhim al-rahma wal-ridwan, and alayhim as-salam, truly, alayhim as-salam, what our ulama have done, and how deep our ulama are. Ahmed, right now, if you can, and anybody here as well, try and think of a practical application for the intention being a state of mind versus the intention being an action that is done. And I'll give you a hint. Let's say you were doing the wudu, and then you intended to break your wudu. What's the hukm? Keep in mind, state versus action that is done throughout. It must be done throughout the actual actions of wudu. State versus action. You are in wudu, you're doing a wudu, or salat, put it aside. For wudu, purpose of wudu right now. You're in wudu and you intend to break your wudu. You intend, or let's just say let's not intend. You are doubtful in your intention. You're doubtful if you want to continue or not. Let's just say you broke that continuous intention at that point in time. Can you go back to the wudu and finish from where you left off, or do you have to start over? And keep in mind, in one situation we're talking that the intention is a state. In the other situation we're talking that the intention is an action that must be done with each and every action of wudu. Now, in which case, state of mind or action?
Well, in the state of mind, you already intended that you don't want to finish the wudu, right? But so the action will be batil because isn't it the state of mind?
Okay.
That you're doing the wudu.
Okay, let's see. Noor, can you build on that?
No, because now I have something on the action part. So I wouldn't say it's batil because you're still continuing to do the action of wudu and not doing anything that's gonna make it not, how do I put it, like not batil. Yeah.
Okay. And that argument, is it for the people that consider it to be an action or people that consider it to be a state of mind? This argument for the action.
Yeah.
So if I doubted in my wudu, I doubted if I wanted to continue or not, what would you consider it to be? Like if you're siding with these people who consider action, what do you say? Batil or is it good?
It depends on how you finish it.
So it depends, so you can finish off the wudu and
let's
keep
say,
going.
yeah, so if you intended that you wanted to to break it just because,
Okay.
but you continue doing it, like you're just thinking to yourself and you're doing it without doing. No, but if you do it like unconsciously, like you don't you don't realize what you're doing,
Okay.
then if you finish it and you go and you wipe your head, wipe your feet and everything, you're ready to go, then your wudu is still there. Like,
Okay.
But I thought intention was key.
See, this is what, see now the two best friends are arguing about this. They don't know, right? Okay, so you guys' arguments are amazing. Good job. What's you guys think?
Your intention is to break it, so why would you want to break it?
I don't care, for whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
Doesn't matter.
So if something happens, for example, where you were in that state of mind where which I could if I want to continue or not,
Yes.
I think it'd be wanted to continue because the action basically means nothing without the intention behind it.
Good. So that is the argument of the people of the state of mind, that say it's a state of mind. Why? They say, طيب, if we considered it to be, if we consider the intention as a state of mind, as a state that you are in, we're comparing it and mirroring it to tahara. Where if you were doing wudu and if you were doing, salat, okay, keeping the same concept. If you were in salat and you broke your wudu in salat, you broke your tahara in salat, can you go back in some way, shape or form, do wudu and come back to salat and continue from where you left off? No, why? Because tahara is a state that must be kept throughout. Once you break that state, you broke your action. And they said the intention for wudu is the very same way. If we considered it to be a state, once I break my intention technically and I say I don't want to do this anymore, the wudu is gone. Even if I went back to my intention later on and I wanted to keep going from where I left off, they say, you breaking that intention broke that state. And the only way you can regain that state is starting from the beginning. People that say it's an action, they say, look, it's not a state, it's an action. It's an action that must be done when? That must be done with each and every action of wudu. So, let's just say, I'm from those who consider it to be an action. And I am doing, masala, I finished my face, and I'm about to begin with my arms. In that time period, I doubt if I want to keep going, or I break it. In the sense that I have the niyyah, I have the intention to leave wudu. To break my wudu. And then I went back to my intention. I went back to the intention that I had in my mind before, and I kept on going with my wudu. I, as a person who believed that the intention is an action, I intended to do the action with each and every step of wudu. Yes, in the gap of time between the actions, I was doubtful. But I wasn't doing wudu at that time. And I wasn't doing the actions for wudu at that time. And so when I went back to my intention, and I did the rest of my wudu, I had the intention with me throughout each and every action. So let me try and depict that on the board. So let's say this is not a good marker. So let's say these are the time frames for each and every action. Okay? Right? And we have here, and here, here, and here, here, and here. And we say the first action of wudu, second action of wudu, which is washing the face versus washing the arms. Third action of wudu, wiping the head. Fourth action of wudu. Okay? These are the actions of wudu. Right? They say, the people who consider it to be an action, they say intention should not encompass the entire wudu. Rather, the intention encompasses just these periods of time. Because it's an action that must be done with each and every action of wudu. It has to be accompanied with each and every action. So, if this is the time frame for washing the face, from here to here, that's the time. My intention must be with me throughout this time period. This time period, I don't care. Doesn't matter. This time period, it matters. This one, it matters. This one, it matters. This one, it's gray zone. It's gray zone. So if I in doubt if in these times whether I want to finish or I intend to break my wudu, they say your wudu is sahih. The other guys say this. Listen to what they say. Watch. The other guys say there's none of these. Wudu is from, and another this as well. Wudu is from here to here. And so the intention must encompass this entire time period.
It makes more sense to be honest.
You're with these guys?
Yeah.
Good. So you're with the guys like 600 years ago, man. You're 600 years behind. But no, I mean, look, it's arguable from both ends. Why am I telling you this? Are you ever going to use this? No. You're never going to use this. But why? I'm honestly telling you this to show you how much work our ulama do and how deep they are, and literally some of them, how they're genius. Like how, I don't know what the verb would be, but how much of a genius this guy is who sat there and actually contemplated about this. So that us as university students, so when we get our masters, when we get our PhD, when we finish and leave here, we don't think that we can come and say, Wallah, Sayyid al-Sistani said this and Sheikh al-Fulani said this and I disagree and I think this and I think that. Habibi, this took 600, 700 years, these theories. Our ulama sometimes would sit ages and years thinking about this to arrive at this conclusion, which makes something different, changes something in the outside world, but it's very theoretical. If there's anything that you can take from these classes, guys, wallah, it's to understand how much work our ulama do and how important they are for Shi'ism in Islam today. Now,
While you're doing your intention for wudu, you have to intend that I'm doing this wudu for prayer. Because you know how some people do, like for example, they wake up in the morning and how it's supposed to have to stay on wudu.
yes,
So like, what if your intention for that wudu wasn't to pray, because with Allah wudu,
right.
salat.
Some ulama said you have to intend it for salat. Some ulama said as long as you have tahara. Tahara is a condition, get it in any way, shape or form for whatever it might be for. Do you have it? Yes, salli. Say Sistani is one of those. Okay? Now. Yes, some ulama, and I believe they are the ones that are, I would say, not today's ulama, maybe the last generation of ulama, or the generation before that, and maybe some ulama of today's time that are maybe not too known, they say that, okay? So they say you have to intend it for this salat or that salat, or just salat for this time period. Maghrib time, it's Maghrib and Isha, okay? Other ulama say no, it's tahara. Doesn't matter why you're getting tahara or how, but why or for what reason. You have it, go. Okay? That's a very, very good question. All right? Yalla, we're just gonna last point and then we're gonna be going. Or last condition and then we're gonna be done for the day, inshallah. The second condition we mentioned was the purity of the parts of wudu. Okay? And we spoke about this before, right? We mentioned it. It's an essential condition, which means what? Nadif, can you tell me what it means? It's an essential condition. So what does that technically mean, practically?
Well, if the parts weren't for the wudu,
Okay, let's say you didn't know. Good. That's what it means to be essential. Okay? Even if you didn't know, it has to be pure. Okay? Now, we said yes, it's essential, but there is leniency, technically speaking, in a very, very technical and in application, there is leniency in this. And we discussed it. I think it was the class before that. We discussed this leniency. And we said that you can kind of work around it. Work around that. What did we say? When I asked, do the parts of wudu have to be tahir? Remember that question that I asked? For those who were here. Okay, what did we say? Do you remember? No. Very good, which means before wudu, do technically all of the parts have to be tahir? Good, very, very good. Okay, we said that certain parts have to be tahir. Other parts don't necessarily have to be tahir before beginning wudu. So right here, they don't have to be tahir before beginning, right? And she was saying that the parts that have to be washed can be najis, while the parts that have to be wiped don't necessarily have to be tahir. Why? She said that you can wash them or purify them, through the washing of wudu, through the actual washing in wudu itself. Okay? Now that is also very technical and only in specific situations, right? Not that if I had najasa here, for example, I go like this. No, that's not necessarily going to do the trick, because now I'm having my hand and my hand is just spreading that najasa everywhere. But let's just say I have that big jug of water and it's qur water, okay, where if najasa touches it, not all of it becomes najas, right? And then I do that, that's totally cool. Good. You taharat and you also did wudu. Okay? Now, I believe even in that case, the first washing would be for tahara, and then do the second washing for wudu itself. Okay? Consider that to be ghaslat al-wudu. The first one, consider it to be ghaslat al-tahara. Second one, ghaslat al-wudu. In wudu itself. Okay? So let's call obligatory precaution in this case. The second washing, let that one be to actually wash the arm. Now. Good. That we'll get to it. He said the place that you wipe has to be dry. We'll get to that. No.
What if you have like a cut in your arm? Like I have cuts like everywhere.
Okay.
So if it's dry blood.
No, if it's blood, whether it's dry or whether it's liquid, you have to wash it off. Okay? Because tahara is a condition. Now, when it comes to wiping the parts that we wipe, what did we say about that? If the parts that I wipe are najis, can I work around it? Is there a way around? Ali, why not?
Because you're just spreading it.
Good, because essentially you're just spreading it. You're not doing anything to it, because we said washing is what purifies, not wiping. Okay? Alright. And if you want more clarity on that, refer back to lesson 3, I think it was, or lesson 2. Now, before we end off, there was a beautiful narration I remembered when speaking about this. We're speaking about intention, right? We're speaking about things that happened prior to wudu. So I remembered this narration from Imam Zayn al-Abidin. It is narrated that Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam would get up to do wudu. And the people around him would look at him and they see him pale, yellow. It's as if he just saw a ghost. He's fear-struck. And so they would come to him and say, "Ya Imam, why? Why is it that you're struck with fear? You're going to do wudu." He says, "Do you know who I'm preparing myself for? Do you know who I'm preparing myself to meet? Yes, it's wudu. Yes, I'm just washing. Okay? And we don't necessarily look at the spiritual aspect of our wudu. The Imam alayhi salam says, yes, I'm washing. Yes, I'm using physical things. But it's spiritual. I'm getting myself ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we always say, the anticipation of something is much, much more intense than the actual event itself. It's similar to the person who's getting a needle. Their anticipation of that pain is worse than the pain itself. That fear that you have before is worse than the pain itself. In other words, when I go do wudu, let me focus on what I'm doing. Let me think of what I'm doing. Let me be putting the water on my face, thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying subhanallah. Understanding that now I'm getting myself ready to meet God. And you'll see that your wudu becomes just as beautiful as salat. Rather, some ulama say, if you want to focus in salat, if you have a problem focusing in salat, begin with your wudu. Focus in your wudu. Have a spiritual connection while you're doing wudu, and you'll find your salat is much more spiritual and much more connected. With that, we will end inshallah with Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.